For more stories like this, hit the like button and subscribe so we can create more videos like this. In a small village nestled at the edge of a forest and beneath a range of quiet mountains lived a young man named Ethan. He was known by many as kind, hardworking, and hopeful. But lately, hope had become hard to find. A season of drought had scorched his crops. Debts piled up like dark clouds in his mind. Friends who once laughed beside him now turned away, too busy with their own worries. Each day felt heavier than the last. And though he smiled on the outside, Ethan was slowly unraveling inside. One evening, after yet another failed attempt to fix his drying fields, he sat alone on the dusty ground, staring up at the sky. "I've done everything I can," he whispered. "Why does it still feel like I'm losing?" That night he decided to visit the oldest man in the village, a wise elder named Thomas, known not for solving problems but for showing people how to see them differently. Ethan knocked on the old wooden door. Thomas answered with gentle eyes that had seen many storms of life. Without saying a word, Thomas handed him a cup of warm tea and led him through a narrow path behind his home. They walked in silence until they reached a grove of tall bamboo trees, their slender green stalks swaying softly in the evening breeze. Then Thomas spoke. "You see these bamboo trees, Ethan? They've stood here for decades. They faced storms, snow, and drought, yet they remain." Ethan looked up at the bamboo, surprised. Some had deep bends in their trunks, some leaned far to one side, but none were broken. "Why haven't they fallen?" he asked. Thomas placed a hand on one of the stalks. "Because they don't resist the wind. They bend. They allow the storm to pass through them instead of fighting it. They are strong, not because they're rigid, but because they're flexible." He turned and looked Ethan in the eye. "Life will bring storms, son. Some you'll see coming. Others will come out of nowhere. You can curse them, you can fight them, but if you want to survive them, you must learn to bend." Ethan stayed silent, letting the words sink in. "But how?" he finally asked. "How do I stay positive when everything feels like it's fallen apart?" Thomas smiled softly. "You don't force positivity, you create space for it. You do small things, you breathe, you rest. You take one step, even if it's a small one. You don't have to pretend to be strong all the time, just choose not to give up." There was no magical solution, no promise that his troubles would vanish overnight. But something shifted in Ethan that night. Not in the world around him, but in the way he saw it. He returned home, not with all the answers, but with something better. With resilience. In the weeks that followed, he still struggled. He still stumbled. But now, when the winds came, he remembered the bamboo. And instead of breaking, he bent. And little by little, things began to change. Not because life got easier, but because he got stronger. Months passed. The storms didn't stop. Some days were still hard, and setbacks still came. But Ethan was no longer the same man who had once sat in the dust, questioning everything. Now, when life grew heavy, he didn't crumble. He paused, breathed, and reminded himself, "I am like the bamboo. I can bend, and I will rise again." And slowly life began to bloom again. Not all at once, but in small, beautiful ways. A neighbor offered help. Rain returned to the fields, and in time the crops that once failed began to grow stronger than ever before. But the greatest growth wasn't in the soil. It was in Ethan's heart. He had learned the secret not just to surviving life's storms, but to growing through them. And so, whenever someone in the village felt lost, overwhelmed, or ready to give up, they would find their way to Ethan's door. And he, just like the elder before him, would gently guide them to the bamboo grove and teach them how to bend so they too could stand tall.